Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Ray and I post book content. Today's video, we're going to be picking my February TBR. Now, if you were here last month for the January TBR, you know that we chose our TBR with Jenga blocks, and you probably know that that didn't go too well. I didn't get to pick a single book. I was just told a book I had to read from the prompts that I chose. If you watched the last video, I had taken pieces of paper with the prompts on them and taped them to Jenga, and what I didn't think through is that Jenga blocks are made the way they are because they need to be able to slide out, and the paper prevents them from sliding, so we struggled quite a bit. So what I did is I actually took off every single paper that I put onto the blocks, and I wrote with Sharpie, which they don't look the best if I'm being honest, but I wrote with Sharpie on each of these blocks. That way I can actually play Jenga and maybe have a little bit more success this time around. Now, the way that I did it last time was I let a random number generator pick which row I was going to pick from. I think I'm going to stick to the same way of doing it. I think it's just fun to be told what row to pick from, and then I can make a decision on the other three blocks which one I want to do. So obviously not the top three, because you're not supposed to pick from the top three when you're playing Jenga. So from rows 4 onward, and then we're going to put that into the number generator. It'll tell me what row we're picking from. We'll pick a prompt and see how that goes. As always, grab your favorite drink, grab a book, and come hang out and choose my February TBR with me. So let's get to picking the first prompt. I'm gonna pull out my iPad and we're gonna choose a random number generator. There's 16 rows, and I'm gonna start at row 4 to 16 because you're not supposed to pick from the top 3 rows. So we're doing 4 to 16, and I'm gonna hit generate. Okay, we're picking from row 13. Okay, this row right here. Let's go for a middle block. Last time I couldn't pick any middle blocks because I could only pick the blocks where the whole thing wasn't gonna fall. Let's do this one. This one says, it's gonna be very hard for you guys to read, but it says blends 2 or more genres. With blends 2 or more genres, we could go a couple ways with this. We could do a fantasy romance. Oh, okay, here's the thing. So I have been reading One for My Enemy by Olivia Blake, and I really like it. What I found is I love a good Shakespeare retelling. I love Shakespeare in school, and I love a good Shakespeare retelling, but I wonder if we were villains, is that 2 or more genres? Because I've heard that, like, if I like Shakespeare retellings, that I might like this one. I do know Rebel Witch is fantasy romance, so I could pick that one, finish out a series. I do want to put Lady of Darkness on the TBR, but like, is this a fantasy romance or is it just dark fantasy? I don't know. I think I'm going to put Rebel Witch on my TBR. I want to finish out the duology. I'm really curious about what's going to happen in this book. I think if I don't force myself to read it soon, it's just going to keep sitting on the cart, and I'm so ready to jump into this world, like back into it. I'm getting my sister to read Heartless Hunter, so I feel like it would be fun to have this on the TBR. Maybe she'll read it with me if she finishes Heartless Hunter, but I think I'm going to end up putting Rebel Witch on the TBR as our first book for blends 2 or more genres because it is fantasy romance. So we are picking Rebel Witch for the first prompt. Okay, we're going to pick prompt number 2 now. I'm going to hit generate. 15. Okay, so second last row left. We're picking from the back. Okay, this one says a random number generator chooses from my TBR cart. I don't know how many books are on my TBR cart. So first I need to count all the books on my TBR cart, and they're very disorganized right now. So we're gonna see how this goes. Maybe I'll add some of these to the end. Okay, so we have 31 books on my TBR cart. Some of them are like, I've got 2 books in the series back to back. So if I end up picking, like, for example, for the Emma M. Line series, I have volume 4, 5, and 6 here. So if it lands on 6, I'm gonna pick up 4. But we've got 31 books on the TBR cart. I'm gonna pop in 1 to 31 on my iPad, and we're gonna hit generate. 8. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh my goodness. I was not expecting for this one to be the one. Okay. I guess we're finishing off 2 series this month. What a difference from last month when I had to start a new series. But okay, we've got The Winners by Frederick Bachman. This is the last book in the Beartown trilogy. Beartown is essentially about a small town called Beartown, and hockey is everything to them. It is their pride and joy. It is what brings the town together. And something happens in the town that starts dividing the town and dividing everything that they know and love about the town, and it just kind of, it's very dark, and there's a lot of heavy topics in it. I'm excited to finish out series. I think that's a big goal of mine this year. I think it's a big goal for a lot of people this year to just finish out series on your series list. So finishing off 2 series, that's gonna make me feel really accomplished this early in the year. So you know what? I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad about it. But the second book we're picking for the random number generator chooses my book is The Winners by Frederick Bachman. We're in for a ride this month. We are in for a ride. I'm only choosing 3 books for my TBR to make it more realistic and more achievable to get. And I have this huge goal of trying to complete every TBR to the best of my abilities. I usually don't read any books for my TBR typically, so stay tuned for how my January TBR went, but I am making it a huge goal to try to complete majority of my TBR every month. So let's pick our last prompt. So let's go hit the number generator and see what row we're picking from now. We are picking from row 8. This one seems ready to go, so we'll just pick her. Oh, okay, so it's a book from your bookshelves. So let's go over to my bookshelves and let's pick a book from my bookshelves and see where we end up. There's a few options that I could pick from, but let's go and check my bookshelves. Okay, so these are my bookshelves. I've got quite a lot to pick from because I've actually read less books than I own. I'm looking at my bookshelf right now and I see The Naturals, I see Red Rising, I see The Second Death of Locke. I don't know. I really do want to start the Lady of Darkness series, but I don't. That's on my TBR cards. Okay, so for someone who's as indecisive as I am, them. I feel like this is going to take me a little bit of time to kind of narrow down the few books that I want. So I'm going to go narrow down a few books and I will be back when I have a few options to choose from. Okay, so I've narrowed it down to a few options. We have In the Hour of Crows. I feel like because I'm reading the winners, something a little bit smaller and lighter could be a good mix and to make sure that I do finish my TBR. This one says, when called upon, she can talk the death out of dying and save their lives only once, never twice. But this is truly a unique gift that comes at a price, rooting Weatherly to people who only want her around when they need her and resent her backwater ways when they don't. Her cousin Adair also has a gift. She's a scryer and can see the future reflected back in dark surfaces. Right before she is killed in an accident, Adair saw something unnerving, and that's why Weatherly believes she was never thinking for a moment that it was an accident. But when Weatherly for the first time is unable to talk the death out of the mayor's son, the whole town suspects she's out for revenge, that she wouldn't save him. With the help of clues Adair left behind in her family's granny witch recipe box, Weatherly sets out to find the truth behind her cousin's death, whatever it takes. Okay, so this seems like it's a witchy mystery type of book. It's really short. I think this could be an option. And then we have I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman, and this one is essentially about 39 women who are trapped underground. They don't have any memory of how they got there, and I think that they have to work together to get out or to kind of learn why they're there. Then we have Kin by Leslie Crew, and this one I think could be really, really good. It deals with things like complicated family dynamics and relationships, and I think that's something that I've always been interested in. I feel like there's so much depth to books like this where they do dive into generational family traumas and things like that. I think we're following 3 generations of families and seeing their complex and nuanced relationships with one another, and so I feel like this could be a really good hard-hitting book. Leslie Crew is a Canadian author, and I actually got this book when I was out in Halifax, like at the bookstore shopping for books, and she was telling me that this was one of her favorite authors, and I wanted to read this one. This one stood out to me the most. It's a celebration of the heartbreaking, maddening joy that is family. So I feel like this could be very relatable, very sad. And then the last option we have is the second book in the Compelling Fate saga, which is A Promise So Bold and Broken. Now, I wanted to continue some other series that I was in the middle of, but this one was the one that was on my shelf. And so I think it was the only fantasy on my shelf that I could continue that wasn't on my TBR card. But this is the second book in the Compelling Fate saga. I read the first one last month and I thought it was okay. Like, I enjoyed it. It wasn't anything groundbreaking, but it was a very easy read. So I could continue the series and kind of just stay on the track of continuing series this month. I feel like because I read that one last month, it'd be a good idea to pick this one. I think I'm kind of torn between these two, the bigger books in the bunch that I pulled out, but like, as much as I want to read this, like, I do want to read this, and I think I might read it anyways if I get time to. I feel like we're on a trend right now of completing series this month and continuing series, so for that reason, I'm going to be picking A Promise So Bold and Broken as my third TBR prompt from a book from your bookshelf. I think that just makes sense. Then we're completing a continuing series and we're feeling very accomplished this month. So the last book that I'm choosing is this one. Okay, so a rapid recap on all the prompts I picked and what book I chose for them. So we have blends 2 or more genres. We have Rebel Witch by Kristen Cicarelli, which is fantasy romance. For a random number generator chooses from your TBR card, it chose The Winners by Frederick Bachman to finish out another series. So 2 series down, hopefully. And from a book from your bookshelves, we have A Promise So Bold and Broken by Sophia St. Germain, which is continuing a series that I started last month. So I feel like we are on a good track for continuing and finishing series. That's all I have for you. If you stayed this long, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what's on your February TBR, and I hope to see you in the next one.